Good afternoon everybody, my name is Shankarji. Now we will be studying chapter 9, the living organisms and their surroundings. So what do you mean by living organisms, the living organisms and their surroundings? We are all living organisms. You, me, we are all living organisms and we need a place to live and survive and live our lives efficiently. So we need proper surroundings and environments for living successfully in various environments. So the first term which we study regarding this is the place where organisms live and thrive successfully. It is known as habitat. So habitat is defined as a place where living organisms live and thrive successfully. It can be land, it can be water, it can also be air. However, most organisms don't live in air full time. They have to take rest in land or water. So it's mainly terrestrial land-based habitats and aquatic or water-based habitats. So this is what meant by habitats. Now, in order for organisms to survive efficiently in a particular environment, they have to be completely adapted to that environment, also known as the habitat. So that's why various organisms have specific features or habits which help them to completely survive efficiently and thrive successfully in their habitats. This phenomenon or this feature is known as adaptation. We are all adapted to various environments. Like suppose I am very much adapted living in my house and in my work environment. You are very much adapted living in your house, in your work environment. Just like the way we feel comfortable in our most preferred environments, also known as habitats, even animals also, various other animals also have various adaptations which they use efficiently to their advantage. Now, let's study a little bit more about habitat. Speaking naturally after when we discuss habitat and adaptation, the next thing which comes to our mind is what is a habitat composed of or made up of. So it has two main components. One is the biotic or the living components and the other one is the abiotic or the non-living components. The name itself suggests that the biotic components, the parts, the components which make up the habitat, they have a life, some kind of life inside it, something living, and the abiotic which doesn't have any life, something non-living. For example, like you just take maybe a small park. Maybe we all like to go for a small walk in a park, maybe in the mornings and evenings. So when you go to a small park, you find a lot of grasses, you find a lot of benches, stones, even birds flying around, trees. So all this. So you have all this, right? So this means if you talk about the biotic components, something living. So what are living out of this example? Birds, trees, plants. So these are all the biotic or the living components. The non-living components, maybe the footpath, the stones, the benches, these are all the abiotic components in a habitat or an environment. So this, we can extend this to a complete habitat all over the earth. Now, for example, living things, biotic components example, living things like plants, animals, etc. It can also be fungi, it can also be algae or algae, fungi, algae, or it can also be microorganisms, invisible organisms which we cannot see. Even viruses can be a part of the environment as well. Abiotic components, for example, rocks, soil, air, water, sunlight, heat, etc. Like I just mentioned a while ago. Now we come to different habitats. Now, speaking of habitats and environments, we cannot expect the variety of organisms to live in a single kind of environment. No, it's not possible. We can't even think of it. So that's why when we have different habitats, we should also have different regions and different adaptations for various organisms as per their environments. Now, speaking of the first habitat, let's take an example of desert. So what is a desert? A desert is a very dry space of land which receives very little water. For thousands of years, the region has maintained the same dry climate. The climate is very dry. Like naturally, when certain animals and plants, they don't have any other option. They have live in desert. So they have to adapt themselves in such a strong way that they have to manage with a very meager little amount of water which they can get, and that too with the most efficient system possible. So for example, we all know that the cactus plant, the thorny plants, we can just categorize them as desert plants or thorny plants. If you look at them, they're not like the conventional plants. They don't have big blooming flowers, they don't have very attractive looks. All they have is some kind of a greenish or maybe sometimes light, maybe grayish or brown color skin, a thick skin with a lot of thorns. That's it. That's what they have. I mean, they're very thorny, they are very spiny. That's what they can do. That's the best which they can do. And the reason why they do that is in a desert, and their roots are so long. If you dig their roots, their roots go for a long, maybe half a kilometer or maybe even 1 kilometer underground, because water is so hard to find in desert regions. These plants they give so much energy to their roots, so that the roots go and find water for them, and they store each and every drop and droplet of water in the most efficient manner which they can do. You take a pin, and if you pinch a hole through their stems, you'll get water flowing out of it. Which sometimes other birds, they also drink water from them, because when they are not able to find water outside, they pluck the desert plants like cactus and they drink water out of it. So and they also have thorns which help them to reduce water loss. So this is how desert plants are adapted to their environment. Speaking of desert animals, very similar. Even desert animals like desert rat, desert fox, lizards. These animals are so rough and tough, so hardy that they can survive with little bit of water. Even camel, the camel is known as the ship of the desert. So even when a sandstorm occurs during desert, we human beings can hide behind the camels, and we can be safe behind them. Otherwise, we might be carried away during the sandstorm. Apart from camels, there are many small animals which are also well suited for desert environment. Mainly what they do is they have extra storage facility. Like whenever they eat food or drink water, they have a body mechanism to store the food or water for long periods of time, so that they can, even because when you travel through desert, it's very scarce to find the food and water. So they make sure that they can run on a particular supply of food and water for a few weeks to few months down the line. So this is how the desert plants and animals have adapted to the desert environment.